Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the product update in G Suite webinar. It's been a few months since the last one. We spoke to you in March. It's gone very quickly, when the world looked a little bit different, and we introduced support for our flagship Office 365 product. And I think it's fair to say the take-up of that has been phenomenal, and that's been driven by you, our partners. And today, what we are hoping to do is share a little update on the direction of travel for our product, show you a couple of previews of some things that we've been working on since March, and also introduce you to our new G Suite product. So we're expecting this to last about 40 minutes. You'll notice there's a Q&A panel. So if you post your questions in the Q&A panel, we'll be able to manage them. What we'll aim to do is answer as many as we possibly can at the end of the session. And if we don't get to your question, we'll collate them and we'll publish a Turtle document with all of the answers. So for those who I haven't met, I'm James Griffin. I'm the Chief Product Officer here. So I'll take you through the product previews and also G Suite. And I'm joined by my colleague, Andy. Andy's going to give you an update towards the end of the presentation on Redstor and some of the things we're up to. So before we get into the sort of show and tell part of the webinar, I really thought it would be important to share with you why we felt it was important to build a product for G Suite. And I think the first point really is G Suite's become much more mature as a commercial offering in the market. For those of you that have been around the Microsoft community for a number of years, you'll remember when Office 365 first launched, and there wasn't really a recognized need for protecting data that sat within Office 365. A lot of organizations thought that perhaps Microsoft were going to take care of everything and the data would be easily accessible when you needed it. And then over time, as they've been operational with that product, they realized the need to protect Office 365. And we're seeing the same in G Suite now. So as it's more mature, people have been operating it longer, they have more critical data in it and they're running on it. And that means they're now really warming up to the requirement to protect their data. And of course, part of the, I guess, adoption barriers for classic backup services is quite often and quite frankly, some of the legacy organizations out there, they make it difficult to understand the real cost of operating. There's TIN involved, there's all sorts of different licensing. So we did feel that if we were going to do this, we would make it available on a very simple pricing model. But importantly, I think at the start of the year, through various webinars and meetings, we said that we wanted to listen and be customer-led and market-led in our roadmap development. So one thing we did do was take a lot of feedback from our partners that protection of G Suite was really important. So we reprioritized. Redstor owns its own IP. We own where we put the investment, and it was important that we responded to the request from the market. So we did that, and importantly, we positively invested in this. We made an investment decision to go and build this IP to protect G Suite. And, I think it's critically important. The world's changed a lot since I last spoke to everybody in March, where I delivered the last webinar from Redstor's office. Today, I'm delivering this from my house, and you're all viewing from your homes and gardens. And we're now so much more reliant on these products. And if you were to look in the T's and C's of Microsoft's service agreement, the notorious clause 6 that recommends to customers that even if they consume Microsoft 365, they need to protect their data. If you to look at the equivalent terms for G Suite, they're even less specific. And that doesn't feel great, given that now our kids' schooling materials on G Suite, there's company IP on G Suite, so it needs to be protected, and that's core to Redstor's mission. And of course, part of that mission is being able to cover all of the data protection needs by offering a 4-in-1 solution, and we think this fits very nicely into that. So if we just have a little quick look at G Suite, again, as I said, it's become much more mature in the market, and these are pre-COVID figures, so you can imagine that it's moved on significantly since this report was published. But before the world changed, already 61% of businesses were using applications like G Suite, and pretty much the remainder plan to switch within 24 months. And we've obviously seen a catalyst for that switch to come forward. But we now support and can protect the two major collaboration tools out there. Yes, there are conferencing tools such as Zoom and RingCentral, etc. In terms of actual collaboration suites and productivity suites, the two dominant players in the market on the planet are Google and Microsoft, and we now cover both. So I think the message is, the stats are there, but it's a huge ecosystem. There are lots of G Suite users out there, and it's growing fast. Our latest numbers told us that there were over 6 million paying businesses in March on G Suite. So it's a large and tangible community for us and our partners to add some value to. But just at a practical level, I think it's really important to understand, and we'll share this asset with everybody because I think it's very useful when you're discussing this with your customers. What actually is backed up within G Suite and what is recoverable. So if you look at this diagram here, what we've tried to do is look at the core functions of G Suite and then overlay when the data is permanently deleted by Google and how you would access it. So I think for me, the one at the bottom is actually really pertinent. A disgruntled employee leaves and the account is deleted, which the organization may have a cleanup process. After 20 days, that's gone forever. Completely gone from Google. And even something as simple as deleted items, and if you're like me, I am busy, I get a lot of emails, some end up in the recycle bin, some rightly so, and others by accident. And when you're doing your cleanups and you permanently delete those, again after 30 days, the only way you're seeing those files again is to brave the Google ecosystem and get to an admin that can recover that for you. After 55 days, you can only pull them out via API. So these are really short windows, and these are really common scenarios. The concept of somebody accidentally deleting some email is not far-fetched. The concept of an employee account being deleted when they leave the business, that's actually good practice. So this is real world scenario, and there's a real need here, and some end customers know this, and some end customers are going to need to be educated on this fact. But the reality is the protection levels in Google's collaboration suite that people now rely on, they are not there, and we have a solution to fix that problem. So we've been busy over the last few months. In fact, it's fair to say we've been busy over the last 6 months. Redstor's just closed out its first half of the year. So, it's an important time to just share what we've been up to in that half year. So let's look at the product strategy that we laid out, and this is what guides us. So this is effectively my job to implement this strategy and organize the Redstor team to go and create products that meet this need. But firstly, this is all about creating advantage for us and our partners and our partners' customers in the market. And to do that, there are hygiene factors that we have to have. So we have to have certain things. So of course we will build them. But there are market waves, and we need to ride those market waves. And we'll be pointing our investment at waves that we feel can carry us and our partners towards the opportunity. And we've got to do it with our own DNA. My job is not to copy what other organizations do. So, quite frankly, I'm not going to look at a Veeam and create what they have. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to identify the problems that the users of our product have and build solutions to solve those problems in a way that's unique to Redstor. And I'm very clear on that. We need to use automation to generate scale. And I'll show you very shortly some of the investments we're making here, but that comes throughout the process. So how we onboard partners, how they onboard their customers, how partners transact with us, and really importantly, the decisions that Redstor makes needs to be driven by data. And why we want to use automation is not to make the experience any less personal. We've got a plus 60% NPS score that we're really proud of. That's a world-class score. And we actually want to improve on that score. So where we want to use the automation is to remove the friction and mundane tasks, to allow the specialists that we have within Redstor to work more closely with our partners. So we sort of remove the admin tasks to allow those guys to focus more on developing our partners, doing campaigns and growing and sharing best practice. But we're going to give the best experience possible. I've been delighted with the feedback for the new look and feel of Office 365. How we're delivering that experience is listening to the market. We're using design thinking internally, which involves the people that are building your products sitting in your shoes, and it's empathy-driven methodology to make sure we're creating and thinking about how our products are used and sold in the field. But importantly, modern software is built in iterations. We're not building desktop software that's shipped on a DVD and has an annual update. So we will ship products, and you'll see this in when we get to G Suite. We will ship products, and then we'll iterate and refine on it based on customer feedback. So on the roadmap with G Suite, what you'll notice is a bit of space around it, and the reason there's space around it is because this is our first edition. And when we put the first edition into market, and you feedback to us what you and your customers need, we've now got space on the roadmap to really quickly be able to address that feedback. And we're focused on going a lot faster, and I think we've really delivered on that promise recently. The cadence has been there, and we intend to continue that. And the way we've achieved some of that, and we'll continue to do that, is not to try and build everything ourselves, and to call in and work with third-party organizations for expertise or additional horsepower when we need to, but also to assemble components for core pieces such as our partner onboarding, which I'll show you. Because it's all about speed to market. The world is changing so fast already, and yet you throw a global pandemic into the mix that drives a huge wave of cloud adoption. We are very nimble as an organization, but really we need to really be quick on the idea to execution piece, and that's what everything's about. It's how quickly can we turn an idea into a full product that our partners can use, and that's a core driving focus for the business. And to do it constantly, so constantly release, doing in bite-sized chunks, and my goal remains that we don't need a roadmap in 6 months' time, or the direction of travel should be so clear, and the cadence of releases should be there, that the roadmap, as you know it, doesn't need to exist. What you would therefore need to understand are the big bets and the directions that we're going in. So that's the North Star for the product organization. And, I think we've had a great half year. And as I said, we've seen phenomenal growth on the Microsoft 365 protection product that we have seen. That growth has been delivered by our partners, and we've added 4 times as many users to the platform as we did when we started the exercise at the start of the year. And that's because of the opportunity we all see ahead of us. As the world's moving more towards cloud, particularly on the infrastructure front, we found it was really important to strengthen our Red Hat credentials and our Linux credentials. So we've introduced support for a number of Linux distributions, and we've introduced capability to run Linux full system recovery on Microsoft Azure. And these are really important because that is the direction of investment and the direction of travel for our core infrastructure product. It's towards the cloud. Linux has 51% of the machines that are deployed on the cloud are Linux. So it felt like we were missing a fairly large slice of the market, and that's now been delivered. We introduced support as well in this release for macOS Catalina, our core product. So for those organizations that have orphaned Mac users like myself, classically marketers, UX, usually the CEO as well, quite frankly, has their Macs, and now you have a solution for them. If they're running Catalina and above, you can now install the client and protect their data. Teams was the biggest request of the year, and we launched that a few weeks ago. Again, we're seeing great traction. They're checking in on the numbers today. There are already thousands of accounts being backed up in the space of a couple of weeks, and that just goes to show you what's happened in the world with Teams becoming more important. And of course today, well, we're going to show you G Suite, which was delivered into production this week and is available to everybody. So in the next half, we've got a few big pieces to focus on, and there are lots of things we're going to do, but I really wanted to call out 3 key areas of development focus. One is strengthening our offer for Azure natively. So we can, of course, back up VMs that run on Azure today, but we need to support better some of the native capability on Azure, such as blob storage, SQL Azure. So that's a core focus that the team are currently working on, as is VMware. And really importantly, VMware as an organization, they themselves have pivoted from that sort of old on-premise world of getting more workloads onto one server. They really embraced the emergence of the hyperscalers, and VMware have really pivoted, and we will be building a product edition to support VMware in the way it's used in the new multi-cloud world. So, for example, we'll be supporting VMware Tanzu, which is their implementation of Kubernetes. So we're really looking to build on our pedigree, protecting on-premise workloads, and provide next generation support for those workloads that move into the cloud. And the piece that glues it all together is the piece in the middle, and that's Kubernetes. That is the platform that now 85% of new applications are written and deployed in. So as those applications are being written and deployed within the Kubernetes ecosystem, we absolutely need to protect them, and that's again a core focus for the Redstor team, amongst others. And I think it's important to say we are currently updating the roadmap. We published the June update, and if you've read it, you'll notice there's a list of maybe 60, 70 things that we're currently looking at that are all in the mix, and those are from individual features right the way through to huge areas such as protecting other SaaS applications like Salesforce and Xero. So my ask is that if you have reviewed that, please give us your feedback, because we use that to prioritize. If you haven't read it, it's really worthwhile checking out what we're considering. You'll see on there's a lot of feature work. Again, that's important because we can turn that around quickly, but there are also a lot of big bets. So if we don't get the feedback, we are making decisions without your consideration. So please read, review, and give us your feedback on how you think we should prioritize those features. So before we get to G Suite, I want to give you a little preview of a couple of things that are ahead of us. So the first thing we've been working on, based on your feedback, is more consistency across our user interfaces. Now, when we launched the new Office 365 product, you'll have seen it had a completely new look and feel. And that was the blueprint for the look and feel that we're going to implement across all of our products, including the storage console. And you're going to start to see these improvements roll out towards the end of the summer and towards the end of August. And because we're close enough to that now, what I wanted to do was show you a couple of pre-canned, not live, demos based on the wireframes, so you can get a feel for how the new experience is going to look. And hopefully elicit a dialogue where you can feedback to us your thoughts on the look and feel and give us suggestions. So let me start here. This is effectively the new incarnation of the storage console. And we'll just look at some features that you'll be familiar with, which is machine groups and collections. So in this instance, we're going to add a group. And you would normally name that group, you would create a group. And as you can see, it gives you a nice notification your group's been added, and you would then launch into some configuration. And this is really the concept of how we'd like to make it look nice and clean. You pick whether this is a Mac, Linux, or Windows machine. You create your keys here. You turn on FSB, and you download and deploy the agent, all from this same look and feel. And this is on the left-hand side. You would also have your SaaS products, and you would also then be able to access contextual lists and summaries throughout the console. Now, as I said before, one of the things about building software, modern software, is to incrementally launch and deploy features. So day one, when we launched the first incarnation towards the end of August, you will have some machine functionality, but you will still need to use the existing console for some capabilities. And then September, October, November, December, incrementally, we will migrate that capability that sits in the existing console over to the new, and over time, there will be a crossover point where you will spend most of your time in the new front end. So I thought that was important to just give you a sneak preview because we're very, very close to it. And the reporting engine is something that we're focusing a lot of time on, not just look and feel, and this is how it will look and feel, but we're also investing behind the scenes now in some machine learning projects and some automation projects where we can turn the Insight product that you know and love today from an informational tool that gives you great value into an informational tool that allows you to take action and immediately deliver that value. So as you can already see down in the right hand space of this, it's on my right hand, possibly on your left because we're mirroring the screen. There's some alerts, and the idea being that you will be able to drill through and take action on some of these alerts. And again, this is coming very, very soon as part of that rollout, and it's an active development that we're currently working on. Because the feedback you've given us is the insight, and being able to have conversations with your customers around what it tells you is really, really valuable as a sales tool and as a value add tool to your customers. But you would like it to be able to drive more actions and activities, and that's exactly what we're doing. So the other big investment, and I have a couple of movies to show you on this, is in a better partner management tool. And by that, you know, because the term partner portal can mean anything to anyone. We've spoken to lots of partners about what they want from their Redstor experience. And it's fair to say it's a big shopping list. But for Redstor to grow, we need to be able to onboard our own partners much quicker. So we need to make the partner onboarding process very slick, automated, and make it really easy for a partner to join us and get up and running. So that's a core tenet of our new deployment. But also for then the partners that are existing Redstor partners or new partners, once they're with us, making transacting with Redstor very, very simple, being able to set up your own trials instantly, being able to manage your customers within our portal and deploy products to them. So that was a core tenet. And then alongside that, access to collateral, access to training material, as you would expect. So what I'm going to show you now is really the core part of it. So this is, again, it's not a mock-up, it's a high fidelity video. So this is live production of a Redstor marketplace where you as a new partner or potentially customers of yours would land. But I'm going to log into the system as a reseller, as a partner of Redstor's, and just show you a couple of things. So I'll log in, and you'll notice it will pick up on the same 2FA throughout the whole process. So you know, it's really important the front door's secure, the new front door's secure. So I log in as a partner, and I have an option to manage my reseller account. And within this account, I can add customers, I can deploy product. So what we'll do is we'll add a customer very, very quickly. And although this is a canned demo, this is a live, unshortened sequence. So I think the takeaway is that it's very, very quick for you to set up a new customer. You could do this on the phone with them and get them deployed in the product in a couple of minutes. So I'm just setting up myself here as a customer. So the current role is I am a partner. I'm somebody in your organization. I'm adding one of your customers that we want to sell something to, and that's done. Now I'm going to get an email that me as the customer will need to action. So if I log out, I'm no longer the reseller. I'm now your customer, and I'm just going to show you how they would receive and activate that. So in Gmail, the customer would receive the email. They would then type in a couple of additional details, so they give us the password, and they will also give us their telephone number or change their telephone number if they need to. So that's your customer receiving that email and authenticating and accessing their own account. pretty straightforward. They pop in a telephone number for the multi-factor authentication, and away they go. And yeah, you could be doing this over the telephone with your customer in minutes to have them onboarded onto the system. It's, as you can see, it's very, very straightforward. So let me just log back in, because I want to show you one thing. So if I log back in as you again, as a partner, I can see that my customer is now active. And actually, if I just go to the notifications, I will be told that. I won't have to look for it, because there's a list of recent events that have happened on my account there. So I can see what's going on with my customers, and also with other members of my team. You can have more than one user, so I can also see what's been going on. But if I just go back to manage reseller again, I can see that James Griffin, my customer, is a great customer. He's active. And as I say, you could be doing this over the phone with him. I'm going to enable Office 365 for him. So we click Make Purchase. You choose the Office 365 products, and when we launch, there'll be obviously all of our products, including G Suite there. You create the order. You may want to change the price on the fly, so you can do that at the order level. There we go, £1 a gig feels like a good price, and you obviously agree to the T's and C's on their behalf. The system will tell you if you haven't done that, and you click Go, and it provisions it. So if you place the order without accepting the T's and C's, there you go, it won't let you do that, so you have to consciously do that once the order is placed. In the background, what is happening on the Redstor system is our system is setting up your customer on the fly, in real time, alongside this order. So at this point, your customer has now been provisioned with an Office 365 account, and that could be a trial. We are offering 30-day trials at the moment. If you wanted to provision a trial or a demo for one of the customers, you just go in and do that, as I have done there. So hopefully you can see where we're headed with this. Is we want to make it very, very simple for you and your customers to access our products quickly. And that's a big investment that Redstor have made, and we're working with 10 partners who are part of the beta program as well. So we actually deployed this in April, and the 10 partners that are working with have been feeding back and helping us to shape what the product will look like, and the product will be launched in September. We'll make that available to everybody. So hopefully a good glimpse of where we're heading. And with that, now it's probably a great time for the sort of main event, really. You've seen where we're going, and here's where we are now, which is G Suite. And really, for me, the message I'd like you to take away with is simplicity. I'm going to show you probably 8 minutes of content that shows you how simple it is to get up and running with G Suite. Just being open and transparent, what I would say is the onboarding experience needs to improve. Our onboarding is fairly straightforward. You have to go through some steps on the Google side to generate a key, and that's not the cleanest of processes. To change that, we now have a live product. We have to go through an accreditation process with Google. We have to be accepted within their marketplace, and then we can make some changes, and that will take probably 4 to 6 weeks. But again, I think in the spirit of getting to market with this, we've written some great FAQs to help guide you through that part of the process. And if you or your customer is a seasoned or a commercial Google admin, used to running a commercial Google account, the steps aren't too onerous for you. But I think it's important to just state that out there, so you'll see. So let's start, and again, I'm using videos here. My children are playing Fortnite 2 rooms away, and although I've got a great connection, I really don't trust it, so I'm using videos. I've done enough software demos to know that that's a smart thing to do. So the first thing we can do is show you how to set up G Suite. So In the new front end, you'll see Office 365 and G Suite side by side. You pick Drive or Mail. You click Next. You follow the setup process within Google that I described. That generates a key. You save that key, and then you locate that key here, and you add it, and you type in your Google admin address there as well. And that's pretty much it, which is why I think I wanted to emphasize it's simple, but do the Google step first to generate the license, and it's a breeze. You're set up and running in a few seconds, and of course then you can go in and configure the accounts and the backup schedule. But if I just click on to Gmail, so in this case, we just want to set up Christu, who provided the videos. So we select him, we run the backup. As you can see in the left-hand tile, it's giving you progress update on that backup. So that backup is now running. And once that completes, obviously that bar on the left-hand side will change, but at the top of the screen there is a notification icon, and you'll see the notification tells you that that backup has now successfully completed. So again, the concept, both in the way we're thinking about onboarding and transacting Redstor, and the way we're thinking of building our products, is simplicity and speed to get everything protected. You know, this is a few minutes, and we're up and running. So I think that's really important. In terms of the recovery, with Gmail, I'm just going to do a quick demo of how you do a user recovery. The product doesn't yet support single item recovery for email. That's one of the priority features to deliver over the next few weeks. But again, I want to show you how simple it is to recover a user and the user's mail within our Gmail product and within Gmail itself. So the first thing we need to do is go into Christo's email account here, and we're going to delete his email. So let's get rid of all that. And just for double measure, let's get rid of it from his trash. So see, he's got no email. It's gone. So let's go and recover that. We'll go back into the Redstor product. And from the Redstor product, we'll run the recovery. So we'll click recover. It will ask us which user. We obviously have just got Christo set up, and we have the backup date set. We will run that recovery. So that's queued and executed. Okay, so that's now done. Now, a helpful notification to let you know of that case. We'll go back into Gmail. And from Gmail, we'll just show you how Redstor presents the data, and you'll see that it absolutely mirrors the Google standard. So there's a Redstor tab there, and you can see we've got Christo's email, including his inbox there. We'll select those items and drag them across. And of course, we've selected the items we want there, so we've brought those across. And if you scroll down a bit further, you'll be able to see that in the All Mail tab, the rest of his email is also there. There we go. So fairly straightforward to do a recovery of email. So Google Drive's a little bit different from a recovery perspective in terms of what I'm going to demo you. Google Drive is pretty much exactly the same to set up, and I will just show you that. So you add an account, you go with Christo again, and we'll run the backup. So again, simplicity is the key, and consistency is the key, and we've got the same process there for Drive and for Mail. So you're able to do that. Now, instant data is a different way of recovering than the one I showed you for Mail. So what I want to show you now is how to recover individual files using Redstor's instant data. So you go to the recovery tab, you click instant data, and it generates a link, and you decide how long you want that link to last. So create the link, we send it to Christo, and he will then get a link to run Redstor instant data. So We'll just jump in and show you these documents. So just take note of the documents here, and particularly waterfalls.mp4, because we're going to come back to that file in a second. But in Christo's inbox, he's now got a Redstor instant data link. He will click that link, and from that link, he'll download the client. You know, it's a small client, downloads in seconds. Fire that up, and we'll ask for temporary data access. And we'll launch that, and we'll mount files into a Z drive. And down in the right-hand corner, we'll see the notification from Windows to tell us the files are ready. So there you go, the files are there, they're presenting in the usual folder structure. You drill through them, and let's find waterfalls.mp4. So that is the item I want to recover in this instance, because I like videos of waterfalls. And there we go, that's running, and we'll just play it just so you can show it's a real file. There we go. So we've recovered that one file in seconds, really, less than a minute for this process. As I said, I haven't really shortened the sequence. It's very, very simple to get your customers set up and protected. And in the instance that they need to get access to their files, it's really, really simple for them to get them back. And that's it. That's all I wanted to show you today from a G Suite perspective. What I wanted to say is it's available now. So if you were to log on now, it's there. We've got additional features planned. As I said, single item recovery is one of those for email. But you may feedback and say, hey, we don't need that, James. That looks good enough. Fantastic. We'll give you something else instead. So please give us that feedback. And also look out for the new roadmap. So I'm going to hand over to Andy. Andy, I'll carry on driving your slides. And Andy's going to give you a quick update on Redstor.
Brilliant, thanks James, and hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today. And thanks James for outlining the drivers behind our continued investment in our software. So by virtue of you being on today's call, many of you are probably already aware of Redstor, but we thought it would be useful to provide a brief reminder of some of the key features of our offering. Before I do that, I think it's important to stress as well that the good news for all of us is that the services that we're developing are increasingly relevant in today's landscape. And Redstor's aim as a business is to develop services that answer as many of today's data protection and management requirements as we can with a single solution. The reason we're doing that is because it enables you as service providers to deliver data management services to as many customers as you can from a single vendor. And the upside of that is that the complexity and the management overhead of using multiple applications for different use cases is massively reduced. So on to the next slide, James, and apologies for the typo there. I'm standing in for Rob today, so hopefully I'll live up to him. For those of you who've known Redstor for a very long time, you knew us first as a backup technology. Today we're a lot more than just backup, although the backup and recovery process is still very much at the core of what we do. But today we are truly a cloud-first data management SaaS business. And some of the features that have taken us beyond backup: one, we can optimize your customers' primary infrastructure utilization and ROI through our cloud archiving functionality. Two, we can enable you to make informed decisions about your customers' data management strategies based on things like the importance or criticality of their data, the age of that data, and most importantly, prove that you're protecting all of that data. An example of that is Redstor's search functionality, which was developed to enable you and your customers to swiftly satisfy subject access requests and right to be forgotten, enabling you to demonstrate compliance with GDPR and other regulations. That includes as well being able to delete from within your backup set. And thirdly, mitigate the risk of ransomware by creating that all-important firebreak. So I don't know how many of you regularly read guidance from the NCSC, National Cybersecurity Center, but their rule number one is always have a air-gapped backup, and that's us. Because of course, a primary backup target that's on-prem is just as susceptible to ransomware as the rest of your customers' networks. But underpinning all of those features is instant data. For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, instant data enables you to provide your customers with immediate access to their files, whether they're backed up or archived, to get them up and running with the files they need then and there without waiting for a full restore. In essence, our aim is to ensure that we enable your data management to be smart, simple, and safe, but also to deliver you the opportunity to generate good revenue, so a good sticky monthly revenue stream, favorable margins, and ultimately increase your share of wallet and portfolio penetration as well. So next slide, please, James. So here's some key metrics and numbers to demonstrate Redstor. We've got around 350 partners and well over 40,000 customers today. And that number is made up of local and globally operating organizations within every industry. As you can see by the map, we can satisfy data sovereignty requirements in whichever region your customers operate. We have our own data center facilities in a number of regions. But also, as you can see from the technology partners, we can partner with the likes of Microsoft and Amazon and use their hyperscale platforms to deliver services that satisfy data sovereignty. For those of you joining from the UK and SA, our local office presence, support, and data centers means we own every piece of data management puzzle entirely within your country of business, right from development through to service provision. And a bit of history. Through our history, we've transitioned from a systems integrator through to a reseller, through to a managed service provider. And today we are a software vendor. So we understand the needs of both your end users and, of course, you, our valued partners. James mentioned our NPS score earlier on the call. It's plus 70. That is genuinely very, very hard to achieve. And what it illustrates is that the overwhelming majority of our customers and partners are promoters and willing to recommend us. And it's important to remember that that's not just a score based on Redstor as a software vendor, but on a cloud service provider as well. So it rates us not just on the quality of the software, but also on the quality of the service and support. Next slide, please, James. So essentially, this slide amounts to us saying, don't just take our word for it. If you go back 2-3 years, Redstor really was a hidden gem. And today we are finally receiving the recognition that we've long sought. On that slide, you can see Redstor is highlighted as the only vendor with an all-in-one solution in IDC's Q3 2019 Data Protection as a Service Market Glance report. I need to say as well that this is a report that IDC publishes most years. Sometimes they don't if much hasn't changed. But it's not something you can directly influence. So it is very much IDC's view on the world. Also worth mentioning, according to IDC, data protection as a service solutions are the fastest growing segments in the data protection industry. So it's great for us to all be in this space. And of all of those listed, Redstor is the only vendor to feature in more than 4 of the 8 categories. We're actually present in all of the key areas for data management and protection: backup as a service, archive as a service, DR as a service, workload migration, and backup and recovery tools. And on the topic of don't just take our word for it, something very recently, we don't have a slide on this, but Redstor recently became the first national partner of an organization called BRIM. So BRIM was established in 2019, and within the first week of 2020, it was announced that BRIM had been selected to deliver 10 business resilience centres across the UK in collaboration with the UK Police. And this was after an extensive EU tender procurement process. So we're their first and currently only national partner. So we'll be working very closely with those centres. They're actually staffed by police to work to help businesses across the UK improve their data protection. I mentioned it purely because it's another illustration of Redstor as a trusted pair of hands. With that, I'm done. So,
Cheers, Andy. Thank you. Great. So, just before we go to Q&A, I think for me, firstly, thank you to everybody for spending the time with us this afternoon. It's a hot day, and we've gone through a lot of content. I think, for me, there's a huge opportunity jointly for us all out there. And my commitment is we'll continue to invest in the product to improve it. What I would say is we're data driven, and we see the numbers, and those partners that are embracing this wave and getting behind the collaboration suite are growing fast. So the opportunity is there. As I said, we are protecting 4 times as many cloud accounts as we were in February. So we've seen phenomenal growth from the partners that have embraced this, and it's fair to say those partners have also delivered growth across the rest of their estate as a result. So embrace this. We think we have a world-class product, and I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anything that's out there. The reality is our product works very, very well. It looks and feels great, and we continue to invest in it. So there's an opportunity for us all to get involved there. And if you need help doing that, just ask. We like to support our partners, and we like to help guide them on how to take this to market and solve the challenges with our customers. But with G Suite being our first iteration, we can't improve the product without your feedback, and that feedback must come from users. So we need to get some users on the platform, and we need to really sort of drive the improvements of this. And I think we've got a great opportunity jointly. I also am 99% confident that we've got lots of questions, because I can see over 20 already, and some people have asked a few. So what we'll do is, if you've asked a few, I'm going to answer one of them, and we'll come back to everybody directly. Being brutally honest, anything deeply technical we won't answer. We'll come back to you on that one, because I think it needs a bit of qualification, and I can see we've got a real mix here. So given we've got a little bit of time, for about 5 minutes, what I'll do is I'll try and rattle down the list as best I can, and if I don't get to yours, apologies, but we will come back to you. So first question is, what is the total cost of protecting G Suite, and how is it calculated? Okay, fine. So for partners in the UK, G Suite is priced per gigabyte in the UK. Everywhere outside of the UK, it is sold on a per seat basis. We can offer the per seat basis in the UK through AppDirect if required. So, yeah, as I said, plans to make it simple: per gig in the UK, per seat outside the UK. Okay, will the charge be based? Okay, I said I wasn't going to answer 2 from the same question, but I have, because there's a follow-on. Will the charge be based on gigabytes in each individual user account, or after dedupe is taken into consideration from Google's point of view? So less data is transferred. Okay, I think I understand the question. It's based on the gigabytes for each individual account. Okay. Next question: will shared drives within Google be backed up and recovered? Not yet. That's one of the features that's planned. So if you would like that feature, please shout loudly, so we can bump that up the list. Okay, shared drives again. Do you have okay, this is a question about Microsoft 365, but fine, no problem. Do you have a recording of the Redstor Microsoft 365 webinar?
I can answer that one. We do indeed have a recording, and we'll share it after this. We, just for everyone on this, we will be sharing the full recording of this webinar, along with any answers that we don't get to. So expect that to arrive in your mailbox early next week.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you. Oh, will Google Classroom be available within your G Suite protection? that's a really good question. So that the documentation around Google Classroom is fairly inconclusive, quite frankly. So we are investigating whether we can support it or not, and I don't have a clear answer as to whether it will or won't work. So we will publish more once we've done the further investigation on that. Okay, what's the maximum number of times a day that you can back up G Suite? We do one automatic backup a day, and you can do manual backups as and when you need, and there's no limit to the amount of manual backups you can do. Okay, next one. Apologies, I'm going fast. I'm trying to get as many done as I possibly can before we wrap up. I fear I may be fighting a losing battle with that, though, because they're adding to the bottom of the list as I go. So maybe we'll take a few more. Do we back up emails in the deleted items folder? Yes, we back up all mail, so trash, I think it's called in Google. And we also back up the spam folder as well, just in case anything that, actually with Google, a lot of the emails I receive end up in the spam. I don't know why, but they do, so we back that up as well. Okay. Do we back up threads and labels? Yes. That's the answer to that. This is a good one. Can we use Redstor's G Suite protection to migrate data? Okay, it doesn't say where to and from. Yeah, I guess you could use instant data to migrate Google Drive files. Yeah. You back them up and squirt them somewhere else using instant data. You can do that. And then in terms of other migration scenarios, we are looking at a number of those as well. But yeah, I guess you could do that. Okay, next one. Is single item recovery on the roadmap? Yeah, I did mention this. It's planned. So again, it's pretty close to the top of the list if you feel we need it. But as you can see today, the full user recovery is also quite granular in the way that you can drag and drop the required mails. So current plan is to do that. But again, please let us know what you need. Can I only recover back into the cloud? No, you can also cover anywhere else using instant data. Can monitor what restores are made? Yeah. So the question is, can I track what restores have been made? Yes, we log these. You're in the Redstor management console, so you can monitor them. Onto the next page. Okay. So we got calendars and contacts backed up. No, they're not. They are also features on the roadmap. So if I was to say what the high priority features that we're anticipating would be, we've got calendars, we've got contacts, we've got single item recovery, and we've got the change to the authentication process once we've done the Google accreditation. Those are the kind of top ones. I think if anybody thinks we've got those in the wrong order or there should be other ones in there, please let us know. Okay, next question that's a great question. How do you go about getting a trial for this? Really straightforward, and thank you for that. Contact your account manager and they'll get you set up immediately, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Okay. Are we looking? That's an interesting question. So, not specific to G Suite. Are you looking to add in things like data wipe for laptops, mobile? So that's sort of more around our client, I guess. Nothing planned right now. There's over 100 things we're considering to do. So I would call them candidates, and on one of the candidates would be so adding more functionality to our agent to allow people to do more things with the devices that the agent's installed on, including data wipe and perhaps some takeover capabilities. But that's only things that are in consideration rather than committed. So I think we're just about on the hour now, and I can see there's another 2 pages of these. Do you have to use the instant data link to recover user files? No, you can use the, I presume the questions around G Drive. So with G Drive, you can use the same method that I showed for email, where you recover directly back into Drive, or you can use instant data. The reason I showed instant data was A, to give a bit of variety, and also to show how easy it was to access that single file within the drive and use instant data. And actually, there's 3 similar questions of that. Okay. I'll do one more, last one before we wrap up, and then there's about 15 unanswered questions that are going to the Turtle Doc. And it is, when can we access the new partner portal? And will protection for G Suite be available from it? So I think by partner portal you probably mean the AppDirect powered MSP management portal I showed earlier, where you could provision your customers. So that will be available to you in September. And yes, G Suite will be part of that. Office 365 will be part of that. And our core data management product will also be part of that. So you'll be able to come on and do that. But the front end that I showed you today, the new front end, is also available at the same time. And G Suite itself, in the look and feel that I showed today, that's available immediately alongside Office 365. So with that, and the fact we're at 59 minutes and 35 seconds, what I propose we do, we will answer the rest of the questions. If you've asked a lot of questions, I think what we may do is come back to you individually. So I can see some people have raised sort of 3 or 4, some even 5. We'll probably come back to you via your account manager directly with those questions. And for everybody else, what we'll do is we'll publish those questions and your own questions into the Turtle Doc and publish the answers. So I think we'll wrap up there. Thank you very much for your time. This is a really, valuable investment for us to enter into dialogue with our partners about the products and services that we're building. That's absolutely essential to how we want to run our business. I think the message is there's a huge, absolutely huge opportunity out there for all of us to solve some real world nasty challenges that our customers have got as they've adopted these platforms. We've got a great, really simple product that's easy to use. It's invested in by a company that's going places, and we'd really like you to be part of growing that user base with us. And we're prepared to listen and be agile and pivot as you give us the feedback. So thank you for joining today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.